Okay, so if you would have asked me if we were ever going to figure out some way to start wholesaling in New York, I would have told you you're out of your mind. But we actually found like a system and a formula to do it. And to get started, it only costs about somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500. None of that money comes to us. It goes to a list provider and a skip trace provider. And we've come up with a way to start, which is pretty amazing. I never thought we would come up with a way to start because it seemed just like such a crazy thing to do. But we have done it. And if you want to start wholesaling in New York, we have a way to do it. And we can save you probably $10,000 in the process. First thing we can do is get you a list. Well, let's talk about the first things you have to do before the things that we can help you with. And you don't need us to do any of it, but it'll be much more expensive if you do it without us. You need to figure out where you need to figure out if you want to wholesale or you want to rehab. So we're assuming on this video that you want to wholesale. The next video will be about if you want to start rehabbing. And if you want to wholesale, you need to figure out where, and that means specifically which zip codes, right? So I don't care where they are, anywhere in the anywhere. I don't care if it's this state or any other state. You need to come up with a bunch of zip codes. It's easy to find zip codes. You can just type zip code map for whatever area you're looking: Queens, Nassau, uh, the Bronx, Staten Island. You need to come up with specific zip codes. That's what you need to do. Once you do that, what we can do for you, or you can do yourself, is you can go to a site called ListSource, and you can put in those zip codes on the geography, and then you can start narrowing it down. We recommend that you find a list of about 10,000, somewhere between 9,000 and 12,000 to start. Um, so you can look for absentee, but in a lot of areas, in some counties, that will give you nothing. In Nassau, if you put an absentee, you get zero. Um, you want to search maybe by age, so over a certain age. You want to search by how long they've lived there for or how long they own the property for. And you might want to search for equity, either high equity, unknown equity, um, and you want to maybe filter out for certain dollar amounts below a certain dollar amount because you don't want to do $2 million houses. Those are much harder to wholesale. So, or if you want to look for that, only look for above a certain. But we try and look for lower. We feel it's easier to wholesale in uh, lower price point areas than it is higher. So we search for that, and then you start modifying until you get a number somewhere around 10,000. Now, if you do this on ListSource, if that list will probably cost you somewhere between $8,000 and $9,000. We can get it because of the amount of business we do with them for significantly less, and several $100s. So we get this list, and the list will only give you names and addresses, and that'll give you only the ability to mail to them. Now, if you want to mail, more power to you. We mail. I'm going through some, tons of return mail here. You can just look at some of the return mail we got, in the last couple of days. And mailing is expensive. So mailing is 40 cents a postcard. So if you have a 10,000 list, 10,000 person list, you're going to mail it. It's $4,000 to mail each time, and you probably need to mail 6 or 7 times. So that's a lot of money. Assuming you don't want to do that, you should skip trace the list and be careful where you get your skip trace information from. We have excellent sources for skip tracing for around 10 cents a piece. So, the skip tracing providers we use will only charge us if we actually get a phone number for them. So it'll cost you somewhere between $800 to $1,000 to skip trace it. And now you have phone numbers, and that gives you the ability to call from your cell phone if you want, and or text from your cell phone. Now, I don't know anybody who doesn't have unlimited texting and unlimited calling today, so that's free. And that is the basic information that you need to start. Now, one more very important thing that I forgot, I'm sorry. You need somewhere to capture the leads. So when people say yes, they're interested in selling their home, and we can help you, by the way, with scripting and what to say. We can give you a guide as to what, no matter what they say to you, to give you some kind of basis for how you should approach them and what you should answer. Um, you need somewhere to capture the lead. So that could be something as simple and as free as a Google Sheet. It could be something as expensive as a CRM like RealFlow or FreedomSoft, which is $100 to $150 a month. There are advantages to using those. So, but if you don't want to commit to spending that much money, you can get those usually around $2,000 a year. There are cheap CRMs. There are free CRMs. I think there's something called Less Annoying CRM that's like $10 a month, or Zoho I think is $10 or $20 a month. Those are things you should use. Just understand you're going to get married to it very quickly because it's going to be it. If you're not happy with it and you say it's only $10 a month, understand it's going to be so data heavy with stuff. If you're really doing this religiously and making a lot of calls, you're going to be getting leads, and those leads are going to be in your CRM, and it's going to be a pain in the ass to get them out. So um, it's something we can talk about more, but you need some way to capture it, because a lot, the myth that a big portion of these people are going to say, "Yes, sign me up," is not true. What's more likely going to happen is that people are going to say, "Call me back. I'll sell in 6 months. I'm not interested right now, but I'm thinking about it." And for those people, you need some kind of system to keep capture them, and very importantly, you need to be able to a system to follow up. So if you use a Google Sheet, and you can use your Google Calendar to remind you if you want. What is that noise? Um, so a CRM does both of those, right? It helps you with follow up, which is very important. If you don't follow up, you're going to be pissing a lot of the money that you're spending and the time you're spending away, and you need to uh, make sure you call people when they expect you to call them back. And there's a system for follow up we can help you with too. We did a 10-minute topic on follow up, right? If somebody tells you call them in 6 months, you call them in 3 months. Otherwise, everybody gets called in 30 days unless there's a specific reason not to. But you need a system. So once you get this CRM, so you have an option. You can buy a predictive dialer like a Mojo Dials or a Call Tools or a Zen Call. Those are about $100 a month, but you will be able to make a lot more calls quicker. Now, on a 10,000 number list, you're going to run through that pretty quickly, but you will definitely condense the amount of time you're calling, because what those systems do is they call on multiple lines, between 3 and 10 lines at a time. When somebody picks up, it automatically connects you. So the obvious question is, what happens if 2 people connect at the same time? And you can set the system to hang up on them or to leave a message saying, hello, hello, I can't hear you. There's all kinds of things you can do with these, but it's much more efficient. I don't recommend that at the beginning. I don't think you need to spend $100 a month on or $120 a month. I think you should just call on your phone, right? And call and just know what to say. So we can help you with all these things. We can get you the list super cheap. We can get you the skip tracing super cheap, which is very high data, very high accuracy data. So talking about, again, between $1,000 and $1,500 is what's going to cost. None of that money goes to us. And then you need to call regularly all the time, right? You probably should get a system like CallRail, which I think is $50 a month, and that'll give you tracking numbers. So what that means is that when you call, you can even call out with CallRail. You can use, if you use a USB headset and you have a computer with internet access, you can call out, and then when people call back, you can then track if it's from this list. If you're going to use another list, you can use another number. You can text out on a number, and you can track, are you getting better response via texting than you are via calling. These are things you can track. We use CallRail. We use all 10 numbers for different lead channels that we use, and it might be something you want to do, but you can start without it for sure. So that is the way to start wholesaling. That is the way to start wholesaling. You need to, now let's take a step back. The only way to buy properties cheap enough in our area for you to be able to sell them to another investor is to go direct to seller. That is the only way. You can't go to an auction full of investors and think you're going to buy a property cheap enough to then sell to another investor. People try it. To me, it seems nuts. If there's a million investors there, they would buy it themselves. But yeah, can you buy it and then there's an investor you know wants it, it doesn't go to the auctions? Sure. But to scale a business like that is very hard. The only real way to scale a business like that and grow a business like that is to go direct to seller. So there's a big factor here called luck, and it seems almost arbitrary. But the truth is, if you have a list of 10,000, I have the same list of 10,000, I may hit those people at the moment where they answered the phone and they had some kind of stress and they want to talk to you. And you may call them where they don't answer the phone or they don't feel any stress. So there is a big luck factor here, big luck factor. And the only way to get lucky is to call a lot, which is why we start with a 10,000 person list. And that list won't last forever. You will go through that list and get another list. So it's just calling. It's calling and saying the same things. And again, we can help you with scripting. It's a very simple script. It's the Brent Daniels TTP script, which is something along the lines of, I'm looking for Joe at 123 Main Street, and I was wondering if you want to hear an offer there. So that's a script, and then there's really only 5 things they can say to you, and it's going to be scary at first, and you're going to sound like crap at first, and you're going to be terrified at first. But after enough people tell you to screw off, and enough people tell you that you're a piece of crap, you're going to get immune to it. You sort of build up a callus, and then you get comfortable. The honest to God's truth is you're trying to solve a problem of theirs, right? If you can't solve a problem of theirs, there's no point. You're never going to steal a house from them. You're buying a house from them because they need to sell it in a way that is not traditional and in a way that you can help. So that's the fact. And when you get confident in that and you make enough calls, you will get deals. And again, the only way to wholesale is to buy them direct from seller, and enough of a discount to sell them to another investor. So I'm shocked that we actually came up with this, but we came up with a way to start.